This is Greg Troutwine with Maritime Reporter TV. We're very pleased today to be joined by Manish Singh, the CEO of Ocean Technologies Group. And Manish, to start, welcome.
Thank you very much, Greg.
Okay. So Manish, I'm sure many people who watch our channels, read our pages, know the Ocean Technology Group. Why don't you just give us a brief overview of the organization today?
Well, look, I suppose we like to talk in key numbers, key metrics, and the one number that defines us is we are the biggest servants of seafarers globally. So we serve about 1 million seafarers through the 6 companies that combine to form the Ocean Technologies Group. We do so across about 20,000 installations. So working with, across the sector, totally sector agnostic. We work in every tonnage type. Most geographies in the world. So we are spread all the way from Japan to the west coast of US in terms of where our colleagues are based. We have about 1,400 or more customers. Again, a very rich mix of ship owners, ship managers, crew managers, maritime institutions, establishments, organizations, all manner of stakeholders. And again, I suppose the depth comes from the richness of the activity that happens within that cohort. So we have about roughly between 700,000 to 1 million training sessions per month. And the iterative knowledge that comes as a result of that and the insights that come as a result of that, I think these are the kind of key metrics that define what we do.
Okay. So Manish, obviously, every conversation that we have today cannot start nor end without talking about COVID-19. When you look at the COVID-19, can you give some insight as to how it has impacted your organization?
Greg, I mean, we are a team of about 270 people working in a digital business spread geographically across the world. And we have, I suppose, coped remarkably well given the circumstances. However, look, we serve our consumers, the seafarers that I talked about. So with 1 million seafarers of the 1.5 million that are serving globally, we cannot isolate ourselves from the tragedy that is happening with about 1/3 of that population being significantly overdue. So the disruptions that come as a result of that. We have our customers. So the ship owners and ship managers who are significantly disrupted in their day-to-day operations in trying to find sensible solutions for seafarers and look at operational and logistical challenges, whether it is getting people back and forth, whether it is getting provisions, critical spares, medicines, consumables back and forth on the ship. So our troubles through COVID are insignificant in comparisons to the customers and the consumers we serve, but it has put on us the responsibility to step up and help them solve some of the problems where we can from our vantage point. So in that sense, it's been quite transformative as well, because COVID has meant that seafarers are not able to move freely between their homes and the crewing offices, between the crewing offices and the training establishments. They still need to be trained. They need to be assessed. There are audits and development sessions that need to happen. So we've had to step up in this period to try and make that happen, because the industry hasn't stopped, and we've had to kind of find new ways of serving it.
Okay. Well, Manish, if I understand correctly, you are a 3rd-generation seafarer. From where you sit today, what is the situation with the seafarers?
Yeah, I mean, look, it is, you use the very right word. It is quite shameful. It is quite, for people like me, you have a profound sense of helplessness, because you can see the situation remain and stagnate for an unacceptably long period of time. If I look at the silver lining, I have seen the industry mobilize in a way that we seldom see. It's not yielded anywhere near the level of effect that is required. But if you if I take a glass half full approach, I'm seeing a lot much more collaboration between ship owners, ship managers, crew managers themselves to try and influence the various port states, the various regional hubs, governments, airline companies, and so on and so forth. But I think it has not only left a very deep and real dent today, but if I take my 3 generations of attachment with the industry, and if I look at the succession of our industry as an employer for future generations, it obviously has left a very significant question mark about our ability to look after our own. So that I think, so I'm concerned not only about the seafarers that are overdue to get back home. I'm concerned about the seafarers that are now standing as relief and going at sea with this backdrop around them. And I'm concerned for the youngsters that we often talk to who are considering seafaring as a profession and are looking at this as a risk that they had not previously seen manifest at this scale. So I think it is mission critical for all of us as industry stakeholders to do something about it, because it otherwise has quite a long-term adverse impact.
Can you put in perspective the challenge to find seafarers, the challenge to have adequate manning levels globally, and the projected impact that you see this specifically having on the next generation?
And so, look, I live in hope. I think we will need to work harder to persuade the top talent to consider us as an industry of choice. We'll need to work harder to give everyone the assurance that something like this will not happen, again. It's difficult to do that when we are still in that situation. And look, if we take a slightly pragmatic approach, seafarers are amongst a very diverse mix of internationally mobile workers. There are many other industries who are facing similar situations. Sadly for us, we have not been able to mobilize in the way that they have done. So I think, look, we got our work cut out, and the proof is going to be in the eating. So I'm hoping that the collaboration we're seeing in the industry starts to bear fruit, and some of the regional states, particularly key shipping hubs, move with the seafarer in mind and make it a little bit more reliable for seafarers who are now going out to sea to know that they are not going to get marooned.
Manish, obviously this black swan event is going to have significant ramifications across business and life for a generation. When you look at the matter of maritime training and education and learning, how do you see this impacting that end of the business, both in the positive and in the negative?
I think let me take the negative first, because I think there is only, to my mind, there is only the tactical aspect that is negative. So today, against the backdrop of a significant proportion of seafarers having a much more imminent issue of not getting back home to their loved ones in a time of anxiety, that cannot be that's not fertile ground for having conversations around development, around scaling, around safety, around compliance. So it's more a tactical challenge. And to me, that is the negative. And we need to come out of this fairly quickly. The positive aspects, if I look at the silver lining, is that it accelerates the connectivity of the seafarer, the ship, with the shore-based stakeholders. It is also shameful that we have got a disproportionate size of global fleet who's still living in the dark ages with regards to connectivity. I think that will correct. I've spoken to a lot of stakeholders. I think I've mentioned, I think easily it's taking 2 to 3 years out of that adoption curve, and it will get us more connected. And I think that will open up a lot of opportunities. It will put a lot of the learning, a lot of the development into the hands of the seafarers. That also can only be positive, and we are looking to play a part in that. We couldn't, with the best will in the world, you couldn't do it until you have a significantly more connected environment. I think because of COVID, we are all, as we are doing today, we are all far better connected and far more open to interactions, to learning, to feedback, to routine operations that we otherwise, more out of habit or precedent, used to do it in a brick and mortar and an in-person environment, will happen equally effectively, or in some cases even more effectively, I suppose, digitally. So that, I think, is going to be quite a big positive and will define how this whole sector changes, and hopefully we will lead that change.
One final question. How, looking specifically at your organization, both organic and via acquisition, how do you see your company, your organization, your offering growing and evolving to meet the needs of seafarers, to meet the needs of ship owners in this rapidly evolving environment?
Thanks, Greg. I mean, again, maybe I'll take the simple one first. Inorganically, we will put the bar fairly high because we believe we have the platform that we need to respond to the customers and the consumers' need today. So you're putting the bar fairly high, unless there is a particular technological aspect that needs to fall in place now in order to solve a problem that our customers need solving today. I think my own preference is very much, or my own focus very much is on organic investment. So we are committing quite a lot of CapEx into development, into technological development, into platform development. We talk about look at the amount of rise in cyber risk in our sector, in recent times. So making our platforms resilient, making our content more immersive, using that connectivity between the ship and shore to be able to deliver a lot of that digitally onto the ship. So I think our focus very much is investing in the right technology, attracting hopefully the best people who will help us make that migration into new technology. So that's, from my point of view, that those are the focus. And if something comes along that is a good add-on and gets us there faster, then we would very selectively look at an acquisition.